Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Is it time to let go and give Brooke Ridge for good? Taylor's new man is the best retaliation? According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor Hayes' new partner might be the ideal form of retaliation. Should Taylor give up and give Ridge Forrester to Brooke Logan for good? Taylor has been making an effort to convince herself that Ridge is totally dedicated to their engagement and won't stray. Nevertheless, BNB aficionados are aware that Taylor harbors some deep-seated fears. Naturally, given all the scenarios in which Ridge has returned to Brooke and crushed Taylor's heart, that makes sense. We can only hope that this will be the final time that Ridge destroys Taylor with another Brooke reunion. If Taylor could have some self-respect and declare that enough is enough, that would be good at some time. By now, Taylor ought to be aware that her reconciliation with Ridge will never work out. Will Taylor's upcoming devastating blow act as a warning? Will Taylor eventually come to the conclusion that Brooke will always win their love triangle and that Ridge isn't worth all this hopelessness? Perhaps Taylor should end this terrible cycle since she is only inviting more suffering each time she takes Ridge back. Taylor must remain strong and avoid another fatal reunion, even if Brooke and Ridge end up splitting up again in the future. Moving on with her life and possibly finding a new, attractive man who treats her fairly is the best course of action for Taylor. Taylor needs someone who is committed to her exclusively and doesn't view her as a rebound or a fallback option. After all of the impending pain at Ridge, we'll see whether Taylor can find a nice guy anywhere and find him. Unless their children are in crisis mode, Taylor's best course of action for retaliation might be to ignore Ridge completely and enjoy life with a new man on her arm. Ridge must understand that Taylor will no longer be waiting in the wings, even if he makes a snap decision due to one of Brooke's numerous errors and eventually wants Taylor back. According to previews for The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor's love life is going to go through some challenging changes, but perhaps this Ridge break will ultimately be beneficial for her. Bill's furious outburst and Taylor's emotional collapse. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Eric warns Ridge about Nick on Monday, August 4th. Eric Forrester is alerting Ridge Forrester about Nick Marone's intentions with that ring and letting him know that he knows Brooke Logan is going to get a proposal from Nick. And Ridge needs to take action, you know. Eric advises Ridge to act quickly in order to persuade Brooke to contact him again before it's too late. Naturally, there will be more overt indications this week that her life is in jeopardy. Naturally, it will be because Brad Bell has never written anything unexpected. Finn continues to investigate Liam Spencer's case and discovers evidence that supports his theories about her possible involvement. After that, Finn will go up to Grace Buckingham. Of course, I would like to see him rerun a scan on Liam, but it doesn't appear that will happen. I'm not sure if that's in the scans or the notes. In any case, he will discover what Grace did. And before Finn comes seeking for her, she truly seems to believe that her troubles are ended. The person Grace needs money to deal with is calling her on the phone. She committed this $1 million scam in part because of this. Don't bother me or my daughters ever again, she begs them. I wonder whether this is because of her crazy ex-husband, Dr. Reese Buckingham, who steals babies. On this week's episode of Bold and the Beautiful, Sheila Carter continues to accuse Lee Finnegan of lying to her about Luna Nozawa and begins to investigate. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Tense drama with Nick, Brooke, and Ridge on Tuesday, August 5th. Finn accuses Grace. Finn may believe he has the proof because he accuses her of lying about Liam's condition, the brain tumor, and other things. It's going to get really messy. The fact that she has been discovered seemed to have stunned Grace. While they are aboard his yacht, Nick is also preparing to pop the question to Brooke. Brooke and Nick are boarding the boat. In order to pop the question, Nick is taking Brooke somewhere. She appears to be riding on the perilous transom of the boat during one scene in Tuesday's show, even though they are about to have lunch. When you have a motor up below a boat rather than the outboard motor behind it, that's similar to the back smooth part. If you're not a boater, In any case, Nick's boat has been experiencing steering issues, and you shouldn't really be back there without a life jacket. They are on a moving sea with waves and currents. To avoid a life or death emergency, you are expected to be in the seat and, of course, to disregard boating safety regulations. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Ridge chases down. Brooke Ridge is attempting to stop Nick from opposing her while rushing through Naples. Even though Ridge is still engaged to Taylor and has no plans to break things up at that time, it seems more like he understands he can't allow Brooke to become engaged to Nick. It's just about Ridge hating Nick, and he has no say in it. And, this is just how waffle boys are. Liam is no longer in the hospital. At the Spencer mansion, he is blissfully resting on Bill's couch downstairs. I hope Logan is looking after him over there. On Tuesday, we will witness Liam and Hope discussing their recollections of their time spent together. And now that Liam has this fresh lease on life, I'm just wondering if things will change between them. That backup girl who just arrived from France might be useful to Carter Walton. If Liam gets an opportunity to reunite with Hope, Daphne Rose might also get shot. Key Bold and the beautiful moments in the boat proposal drama and Liam's recovery then. On Wednesday, August 6th, Ridge spots Brooke on the back of Nick's boat as they speed across the lake. Ridge appears to be rather concerned as well. Catherine Kelly Lang needed a stunt double for the shot, so he should. Nick may be experiencing some boating problems, which is why Brooke is going overboard. Recall that they had the mechanic fiddling with the steering wheel while shouting in Italian. It appears that will play a role. Ridge then plunges into the ocean. I have no doubt that he will make Nick look as horrible as possible in order to save Brooke. Ridge will therefore become emotionally invested in this whole situation of his racing to save Brooke from drowning. His dad, Eric, was right. The idea of Brooke being gone is simply too difficult. It will lead to their reunion. I anticipate having a lot of flashbacks. Just get ready. Flashback day can occur on Wednesday, Thursday as well, as it is likely to persist. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Grace's startling disclosure. Finn is shocked when Grace eventually tells him. I'm curious as to whether she tells Finn the whole truth about what she did to Liam, or if she's attempting to distort, justify, or acknowledge it. Grace's confession is likely to shock everyone. It's really going above and beyond to pretend that Liam has cancer. This is where things start to go wild. Grace requests that Finn and she keep this a secret. As in, no foul, no harm. Liam is still alive. Everything is all right. I merely made a small cut on his skull. Finn will be shocked and appalled that Grace is genuinely requesting his protection, On Thursday, August 7th, Lee and Sheila will be treated to a surprise on Bold and the Beautiful. After they meet, Sheila might follow Lee to the place where she is keeping Luna and learn of it. They might become friends because of their shared love for Luna and begin plotting. This encounter, in my opinion, will proceed somewhat differently than the one in which Sheila discovered Lee with their baby Finn. When Liam and Bill find out on Thursday, Grace's world starts to come apart. Grace might lose everything, including her freedom and her medical license. When Finn drags Grace to the Spencer estate on Friday, August 8th, and orders her to tell Liam the truth about his cancer, Liam and Hope will be shocked. He will listen, as will Hope. On Cliffhanger Friday, she will begin her confession, and I sincerely hope Bill shows up for this. It will continue throughout the week after this one. Additionally, Donna Logan receives a call this week. It appears to be from Italy. I wonder whether Brooke's accident is the reason. Additionally, I wonder if Donna will learn of Ridge and Brooke's reunion before they return to Los Angeles. Grace's decline and emotional exchanges at the Spencer mansion after Grace completes her confession. She faces severe repercussions over the week of August 11th to 15th. This is going to be crazy, it seems. I'm sure she's already spent the money she received from Bill. She needed to reimburse someone. Liam will also be appalled. Hope might be enraged. Grace might be left penniless and forced to depart Los Angeles on a walk of shame or face arrest. Let's see how that turns out. The terrible truth that Finn made Grace tell is causing Hope and Liam to struggle. Although this is a game changer for Liam, he could find it difficult to accept that he was defrauded by a doctor who was not a cancer patient. Naturally, Finn and Bridget Forrester are glad they have discovered what Grace is up to, but they are appalled by the extent of Grace's heinous deeds. Sheila will want to assist Lee with Luna, and Lee will be questioned about this. When Ridge returns from Italy and has to break the news to Taylor that he is returning to Brooke, she will be distraught. Taylor will be devastated and crying. We'll see whether Donna notices and gives Taylor a clue. Despite his shame, Ridge plans to stay with Brooke. Additionally, I much hope Taylor gives him a face slap. Bill will be incensed and Eric will be arrogant. Taylor's last betrayal and the man who made everything different. In the Forrester guest house, Taylor Hayes stood motionless, gazing out the big windows while raindrops trickled down the glass like tears she had stopped crying. Once more, Ridge had done it. She had a gut feeling it was coming. The lengthy silences, the late evenings, and the way his gaze darted to the horizon as if he were anticipating something or someone. Brooke Logan had been that someone, of course. Once more, she informed her that Ridge had flown to Italy and met Brooke aboard Nick Marone's yacht without the necessity for a press statement. Without Logan whispering in her ear, she knew that Ridge had been drawn in like driftwood on a flood and that Brooke had once again enchanted her. However, Taylor Hayes was finished this time. Years of betrayal, longing, forgiveness, and humiliation crashed together like waves in her chest, and the storm outside was nothing compared to the maelstrom inside her soul. She had no intention of begging. She had no intention of running. She would not even give him a call. Rather, she opened her journal and wrote the time, date, and the one sentence that would shape her life going forward. I will never chase Ridge Forrester again. She shut the chapter and the book. When Brooke's chaos got to be too much for Ridge, Taylor had been his safe haven for years. No more. She had raised his kids, cleaned up his mess, suffered his heartbreaks, and stood by while he searched his heart. Not after learning from Ridge himself, not even from Eric, that he had kissed Brooke on Nick's deck in the moonlight and declared her to be the only woman he had ever genuinely loved. That realization had given Taylor a sour smile. Ridge couldn't keep that to himself, of course. He was most likely crafting another "we need to talk" speech, as though she hadn't heard it a dozen times already. However, Taylor outdid him this time. "Don't come home," she wrote to him. "No more we. No more tears. No haggling. Just some clarity." And he entered her life at a time when she felt like everything was falling apart. He was a world-renowned trauma surgeon named Dr. Adrian Torres, who had recently taken a fellowship at Cedars-Sinai following 10 years of service with Doctors Without Borders. At a clinical session for a soldier suffering from acute PTSD, Taylor got to know him. He was smart, courteous, and intelligent, but Taylor had hardly noticed the depth that lay behind those eyes. They discussed love, loss, and survival over lunch, as well as conflict zones and refugee camps. Something inside Taylor woke up. Not butterflies. Not love. However, presence. Link. Unlike Ridge, who waited to talk, he actually paid attention. He inquired about her job, her interests, and her suffering. For the first time in weeks, she laughed. Like wildfire, word of Ridge and Brooke's renewed romance swept across Forrester Creations. Hope made an effort to show empathy. After everything they had been through together, Steffi was furious on her mother's behalf and confronted Ridge in the CO's office, wanting to know how he could make Taylor feel humiliated once more. Steffi remained unaffected despite Ridge's customary "I didn't mean to hurt anyone" statement. "Dad, you always mean good. However, you always break someone to make yourself complete." In the meantime, Ridge's informant, Eric, was silently wondering if he had erred. What if he had simply thrown Ridge back into the arms of the woman who had constantly split the family, despite his best efforts to keep him safe? The bond between Adrian and Taylor grew rapidly but naturally. No games were played. No quiet therapies. No destiny threats. Adrian respected Taylor's fortitude, compassion, and wounds. He hugged her with reverence rather than possessiveness or regret. It was a novel experience. It occurred to Taylor that perhaps Ridge had never known her at all. Brooke, for her part, couldn't stop gazing over her shoulder. This time, there was something odd about Ridge's homecoming. Yes, he was loving, paying attention, but restless too, distracted. The tabloid pictures of Taylor and Adrian holding hands at a charity banquet followed, smiling and bold. Taylor was no longer the abandoned lady when the media labeled them the beautiful minds couple. She was glowing, honored, in love. Ridge also viewed the pictures. He was first perplexed, then irate, shaken then. During a hospital benefit, he cornered Taylor. "Who is he?" Ridge's voice was tense and low as he asked. Taylor's eyes calmly moved to him. Ridge sneered, trying to play it cool, but the jealousy was boiling over. "He's the man who treats me like I matter, even when no one is watching." He had always thought Taylor would be standing by, waiting for him to drop from Brooke's echelon again. Not this time, though. Taylor was not a fallback option. No more. Eric also saw it. He drew Ridge away. "She's gone," he remarked frankly. Even Steffi, who had previously pushed tenaciously for her parents to get back together, informed Ridge she agreed with her mother's choice. "And you should let her go. Mom should be the first person that someone chooses, nor their backup plan in times of need." Adrian, meanwhile, made a bold suggestion. Spend a year overseas. For her efforts, not for his. Ridge had always urged that she remain nearby for the children and for him, even though Taylor had long dreamed of starting trauma clinics in underprivileged places. Adrian volunteered to assist her in realizing that desire. He said, "Let's go where you're needed, not where you're tolerated." Taylor paused. Leaving Los Angeles meant leaving behind everything that was known to her, including Steffi, her job at the hospital, and a remote chance that Ridge would change. However, she made her choice as she stood next to Adrian and imagined a life in which she was the woman a great man picked in moments of clarity rather than the woman Ridge turned to when he was lonely. She said her kids farewell with a kiss, firmly hugged Steffi and Thomas. She then departed. Ridge gave a call. She didn't respond. Ridge remained mute when Brooke asked if they should check on Taylor, and Taylor Hayes boarded an aircraft with Adrian Torres at her side, wearing a fresh ring on her finger that represented the future she had finally decided upon for herself. Not Ridge's, Nick's, or anyone from her past. A future of dignity, opportunity, and light. Rage wasn't the ultimate form of retaliation. It was freedom. Back in Los Angeles, Ridge saw the television footage of Adrian standing next to Taylor, who was stunning in a red silk gown, as she spoke at a trauma meeting in Morocco. When Ridge came to terms with the fact that he hadn't lost Taylor to another man, his face sank. She had gotten away from him. And the most potent of all was that Ridge was no longer necessary for Taylor. The true love story lay in the fact that she had finally chosen herself. Do you want a follow-up that takes place a year later, when Taylor returns with Adrian, who is now married, and reconnects with Ridge and Brooke?